Hello, my name is J-ODonnell. I'm Gandalf on the forums here of chessmasters.freeforums.org, and I'm going to show you today a game I played against JimGrange, who is in 1864, and I thought this was quite a good game that I played, and it was one that I remember quite a bit, so this is going to be my first one. Alright, so let's go into the opening here. Basically when I'm doing an opening, I try to just activate my pieces as much as I can. I know lots of people use different openings, like the Sicilian or the Dutch defense or the King's Indian. There's so many things you can memorize, but there's some things, I'll show you just a few tricks here. Sometimes when I go into the opening, the main thing that I try to do at the first is control the center four squares. These are really important squares in most of the game, and if you control those right off the bat, it really gives your opponent a hard time. I'm just gonna move his pieces here on the right. So another thing I like to do is to get my pieces active out here and here so that I can castle with my king in this area. Or sometimes I like to castle queenside, but most time I castle kingside. So then in order to do that, I usually can activate here just to castle quickly, like so. And maybe I'll bring my pawn up, or horses. This is kind of what I look for in the starting of a game. So what I accomplish here is I move. The first goal is to control the middle four squares. After that, you want to do three other things. One is to move every piece once. Notice I've only moved these ones once, and the queen I'd moved her up here once. I move every piece once before I move a piece twice, and that gets my pieces activated before my opponent. Oh, that piece. And the other thing I do is connect my rooks. So I have, when my queen was moved up here, let's just go ahead one more. The rooks are connected across from each other, so that way if anyone tries to attack, that happens, and you protect yourself from it, which is kind of a good thing. So that's the four things in the opening. Control the center, move every piece once before you move a piece twice, castle, and connect your rooks. Those are the four things you want to do in the opening of a game, and we'll discuss the other two parts of the game, middle game and end game, in later videos. So let's go back to the first and go to the actual game. So I opened up, it was a basic opening. I'll get somebody talking to me here in just a sec. It was a basic opening, and I was just going through the game. Now this is an interesting thing here. This comes up a lot. This is called the Roy Lopez opening, when you pull the bishop out and the knight out to castle right off the bat. Now, a lot of people don't do this, and I don't know why it is, but when they pull pawn to a6 and threaten my bishop, I always take here, giving the double pawn on these two squares. And I find that beneficial in the endgame when the pawns are doubled up on his side, and it also stops this d pawn from coming and controlling the center. So when I did that, he took in the center, which opens up his queen, but I find it's a better move tactically for me. So here I'm just trying to do what I did in the opening. I'm trying to activate my pieces as much as I can as things get started. So he pulls down here. I don't think it's very smart to bring your queen out right off the bat. I would do other things first, but he just chose to do that. And I chose to just protect in the center and prepare to move my bishop out to threaten his queen, protected by knight. So put bishop here and protect by knight and threaten his queen. He saw that and pulled down his pawn to defend that square. Then I chose to castle. Again, I'm just not trying to attack at the first. I'm just trying to open up and get my game going. So he's trying to do the same thing. He's activating his pieces, activating his white bishop to castle queenside. Here was a move because I've done most things. I only haven't moved this bishop out. And so I'm trying to gain control of these squares on the left side as he's preparing to castle that side. And I'm going to force my pawns up to attack his king. So he's activating again, activating his knight, and I'm pushing these up, again, to try to get these three squares so I can attack these pawns along the way. So he castles queenside, and I just push up to try to make some exchanges. So he chose to just move his pawn forward and block it up, and I said that was alright with me, so I just activated my queen. So he's really trying to consolidate in this area to protect his king, and that was his weakness at the end, actually. So he decides to take. It's just basically simple exchanges right now. Now this is a dangerous position because knight to here, protected by queen, so queen's here too, can threaten this horse. And when bishop over and bishop down, you've got a lot of points of pressure on here. And once, let's say, if let's see what my next move was. I had moved up. So let's say he had moved down here. He's really putting a lot of pressure on my king, and especially with his queen here. Once that knight is out of the way, it's going to be a lot of trouble. But anyways, that's not what actually happened. What actually happened was he took pawn here, which I thought was really strange, since he took pawn, and well, I guess it's not strange because this is where I actually gained a piece. See, he has rook threatening my queen, so I can't take with pawn. That's why he was able to move there, and it puts 2 points of pressure on my knight. So if he had done, let's see what the next move I made was. I moved over here. So if he had exchanged and I had taken, he could have taken with queen, and then eventually moved to here, and then moved here to checkmate. So that was quite a dilemma. So let's revert back to the main line. So in this instance, he decided to move down and threaten, because once I had moved my queen to here, I was easily able to take his bishop on e4. So he decided to go up and threaten my knight, and this was a bad mistake for him. So I took his bishop, and see, he couldn't take my knight. That's what he missed, because my queen was online with his king, and if this pawn had moved, he would have been in check. So that was an illegal move by him. So he moved his king up, and I just moved my knight away to save it. And this is where I can't piece up in the game. So that was my big advantage. I do have a lot of attackers on his side here, my knights and my bishop and rook. So that gave me a lot of position. And the thing is, I am castled and safe. My king is so safe, but his king is all out in the open. So that gives a major disadvantage there. So let's just play out the rest of the game. So he brought his knight down, hoping to attack this square, and or here to fork my queen and my king. But I saw that, and I moved up to take here, because before, this pawn had been protected by the knight that was here and the queen, so I couldn't take it, and my knight and queen were attacking. You always want to count attackers. Like, I count to see how many attackers I have on each piece or what square, so it's kind of interesting. Sure. So anyways, I pulled up, took his pawn, and he checked me anyways, which my only move was to move king over. And now he moves queen over. He's trying to still attack these squares and to put pressure on me. So I decided to threaten his horse. And now I'm sort of in a pickle here for a little bit, because once I move this queen right here, the bishop is attacking me, and the queen is down. Like, there's a lot of pressure on these squares. So he's really trying to make a desperate attack. So I decided to take back in here, protected by my bishop, hoping that he'll exchange queens, but he doesn't. He just takes there. Check. And this was a major thing, because when I put him in check, I took a free pawn. It was his bishop in front, and I took rook. So that was just another way I did a discovered check, you see, when I took this pawn, and which opened up for my bishop to come down, which was another huge advantage in the game. So I'm just trying to maximize on my benefits that I'm getting. So I moved to threaten his rook again, and he pulls over, and then I just took another pawn. I'm just really trying to keep him in check and keep him on his toes, because he's a much better player than I am. So again here, I decided that was a huge blunder by him, putting his rook here. So I just took, he took, and I'm trying to force an exchange of queens, but it's just not going good for him. And so this is how I won the game in the end. And once his king was down, it was not anything he could have done. Forced a queen exchange, which you always want to do when you're piece up. You want to exchange as many pieces as possible to get the best outcome you can. So anyways, I just kept moving along here and forced my pawn to the end, I do believe. Check. And after this, you can see it's just a lost game for black. Checkmate. And here it's checkmate, because The queen is on the king, so this pawn can't take here, and the knight is attacking. So that was one of my big games. Against that's my highest rate I've ever beat is 1864, and I hope you enjoy. Please visit us at our website. It's chessmasters.freeforums.org, and there should be many other videos, and just check it out. Thanks a lot.